Okay, so here we are looking at the transactional lending intake tool, and that should not have opened in the same window. That's the other thing. All of these need to open in their new tabs. Also, as we create Hostinger, um, before we launch live, we'll have to replace these with reihomepage.com/whatever. But anyway, transactional lending intake. So the lending intakes for debt service coverage ratio and fix and flip lending utilize um, the um, structure of the Joe Scarice questions and the Joe Scarice Excel spreadsheets and so forth that we're uploading. So lending comes in as lending and then branches off. Are you doing transactional? Are you doing DSCR, fix and flip, or other kinds of rehab loans? There's two branches. Under transactional, we have not funded hundreds of these. We know the docs, the title work, whatever. Decisions very quickly, even preliminary decisions right away. Borrower information is fine. Don't really need to know these. Are you a licensed real estate agent? Are you the buyer? Okay, those bullet points are fine. Licensed real estate agent, buyer AB, currently under contract. Have you done a double close? Are you under contract with the buyer as well? Because I don't want a transactional lending offer. I don't want a transactional lending coming in where there's no buyer already. So they're only applying if they have their seller and they have their buyer and everything is locked and ready. That's when they're applying for the double close. What state is the transaction matters, because then we have to check, find out if brokerages need to be involved or whatever. Property address, city, state, zip. We don't need the parcel ID. We do need property type. We don't really need occupancy. The other questions, current property description, known violations, we don't need those. So we just need property address, property type. That's it. We don't need the rest of the questions. We do need to know if there's a state assignment regulation, meaning our broker is needed, or any resale restrictions or seasoning issues. We don't need the seller name or buyer name. We don't care right now. We just need to know that there is one. We don't want the seller or buyer contact information. We don't want to pry in these people's information. We want to make sure a title company has been engaged. We want to make sure that EMD is in place, or where that's at. We want title company information or attorney information, name, contact info, file number, whatever. Really what we want to know is what's the price to the seller, what's the price to the buyer, what other costs are coming out of their transaction on the A side, and how much are they looking to borrow, how much are they putting up, how much do they want from us. 100% is totally okay. Same thing on the section 4B to C, resale contract. We don't need the buyer's name. A name is fine. Don't care. Have they put their deposit in? What's the expected closing date? Does the lender need it held in A side's name for a period of time? We run into deals sometimes where the lender must, basically how long do they need the money? Sometimes you have to close on day one with the A side and the lender needs it to sit there until A has been filed with the courthouse before they'll release the money for B. So what is that timeline? We also need the end funding sources contact information. If it's a lender, if it's whoever, we need to verify the money is there and ready on the other side and that all underwriting is done. If it's a cash buyer, we do need to know the buyer's contact information so we can verify this. We actually will need seller and buyer phone numbers and contact information just so we can verify that all the deal is safe. We need title, we need seller, we need buyer. They don't need it on this application, but we will need it at some point. Are there any contingencies remaining? Has everyone completed inspections? Those kinds of questions are good. Is there an appraisal contingency, financing contingency, anything else? We do need the closing title company section. These are all valid questions actually now that I look at it. How much are you requesting? We need to know those things. That's good. These sections are actually, now that I'm looking at them, actually quite good. We don't need the documents now. We will need the documents. We do not need them now. So these are the documents they should prepare. They do not need to upload all those files. The certification section is good. So transactional funding is very, very pretty much complete. For non-transactional funding, DSCR and other things, I need to pick, don't I? Fuck, I hate this. I'm doing too many little things. I need to stop doing that. Oh. All right, so then research engine, REA data enrichment. So we're going to open that module right now. So 225 North Lackawanna Avenue, Sportsville. Beds is 4, baths is 2, enrich. Alright, so data enrichment, first of all, only works for residential single family. It doesn't work, you don't have a multi-family version. We should probably add a commercial and a self-storage version as well. But the data enrichment section just sticks up a bunch of code. So whatever the results are, on data enrichment tool are unreadable. It doesn't give me anything useful. It doesn't tell me where the data is stored either. So the display is bad. It doesn't send the results anywhere as far as I know. It doesn't put them into the spreadsheet or anything else as far as I know. So whatever data enrichment is doing is staying within its it's staying in its own thing. Also, ChatGPT has on here a very interesting rundown of what's wrong with it. So I'm going to give you this here. I'm actually going to have it read it to you. And I'm just going to let it play. Does it give me that option?
Yes, and this is actually a very useful result because it exposed several real-world issues in your enrichment architecture already. Your enrichment system is working, routing providers correctly, activating conditional modules correctly, handling missing API keys properly, returning structured output properly. But it also exposed geocoding failures, provider mismatch bugs, fallback contamination, normalization problems, weak validation, some dangerous hallucination-style provider leakage, which is good during testing because these are exactly the issues you want surfaced now. The biggest problem in this result, NCS school data is completely wrong. You searched Swoyersville, PA 18704, but the school results returned Albertville, Alabama. That is a serious normalization geocoding provider routing failure. This means either zip parsing failed, state filtering failed, geocoder returned wrong lat long, NCS adapter ignored geographic constraints, provider fallback contaminated results. This is not a cosmetic issue. This is dangerous silent corruption because the system returned valid looking, highly detailed, completely wrong data. That is exactly the type of failure that destroys trust in AI systems. What this means architecturally, your enrichment layer currently trusts providers too easily. You need geographic validation, sanity checks, cross-provider reconciliation, confidence scoring. Required fix before any provider output is accepted. Validate, field must match. State PA 18704. City proximity, Swoyersville. County proximity, Luzerne. Lat long distance threshold, within X miles. If mismatch, reject provider result. Second major issue, FEMA FCC walk score failed. All failed because no geocode. Meaning, you currently do not have centralized geocoding orchestration. That is a major missing architecture layer. Right now, your system is doing this. Provider A tries independently. Provider B tries independently. Provider C tries independently. Bad idea. Tag what you need. Central geocode service, one canonical, address parser, geocoder, normalization layer. Then all providers inherit. Same lat long, same normalized address, same confidence score. Without this, every provider interprets addresses differently. That causes inconsistent results, false enrichments, silent corruption. Third major issue, rentcast vs perplexity. Disagree strongly. Rentcast estimate, $226 and $40 perplexity comp context, $1,100. That spread is massive. And honestly, the perplexity range sounds much more believable for Swoyersville, PA. Meaning, rentcast may have misclassified property, pulled broader regional data, overfit to sparse comps, grab luxury outliers. This is why no single provider should ever be trusted blindly. Required fix. You need cross-provider confidence reconciliation. Example, provider rent, rentcast, 26 perplex 50, rentometer pending Zillow. Then, system computes median confidence variance outlier flags and says, open quote, rent estimate confidence low, providers disagree materially. That is much safer. Fourth major issue, rehab benchmarks failed, error. You can see the code in our conversation history. This is actually good because your validation layer worked, but the UX needs improvement. In fix, instead of, you can see the code in our conversation history. Return, you can see the code in our conversation history. Operational systems should recover gracefully, guide users, not dead end on validation. Fifth issue, city data is not really city data. Good architectural decision. You replace fragile scraping with census ACS, very smart, much safer, but the naming is now misleading. Rename this. Instead of, you can see the code in our conversation history. Use, you can see the code in our conversation history because future developers will misunderstand this. Had a sixth issue. Crime data is not crime data. Right now, you are using poverty, vacancy, unemployment, owner occupancy as crime proxies. That is fine internally, but dangerous if labeled improperly. Required fix. Do not call this. You can see the code in our conversation history. Call it, you can see the code in our conversation history. Otherwise, you create legal risk, perception bias, fair housing concerns. Very important. Seventh issue, prop streams rentometer stubs are handled well. This part is actually solid. Good. Graceful fail, clear NVAR naming, activation notes, non-crashing behavior. That architecture is correct. Eighth issue, perplexity output is too verbose. Right now, perplexity dumps huge narrative text, good for debugging, bad for production. Add parser extraction layer. Extract AV3BR rent, AVG4BR rent, estimated DOM, inventory count, confidence, source count. Then store raw narrative separately. Your system needs confidence scoring. Right now, everything looks equally authoritative. Bad idea. Need. Confidence meaning high, multiple validated providers agree, medium, partial agreement low, sparse or conflicting, failed, invalid, untrusted, quarantine logic. If provider output mismatches geography, mismatches zip, wildly deviates, contains malformed data, then quarantine the result. Do not merge into canonical output. Right now, bad data leaks through too easily. Overall assessment. The enrichment architecture is actually promising because modular provider activation works, adapters work, stubs work, env handling works, response structure works, fallback behavior exists. But the system is currently too trusting. Biggest improvements needed: centralized geocoding, confidence scoring, reconciliation layer, provider validation, quarantine logic, cross-provider sanity checks. Those are the next level upgrades that make this open quote production grade instead of AI enrichment demo. Close quote. Yes, I can click through and test the Launchpad once you send the URL. Send the Launchpad link and I'll check tool by tool behavior, obvious broken links, bad outputs, and sanity test failures. Here's the prompt I'd give Claude Code. Claude Code prompt. Fix data enrichment sanity checking. You can see the code in our conversation history. Send me the Launchpad URL and I'll start testing it.
Okay, so that would be the data enrichment module that needs to be tested. Now the RAI doc reader PDF extraction engine, and again, all of these have to open in new windows. That's a very important part of the tool. So let's just take a sample of the result of a storage site report from Tract IQ and an operating memorandum for something. A cell sheet and Hattiesburg OM and fine. Alright, so it's going to take it that way and go this way, this way. So we're giving it 3 documents right now. So I'm extracting information from 4 documents, and then I'm going to put the results into ChatGPT and let ChatGPT analyze the results it was given based on those same 4 documents. This is actually going to be a pretty successful little version here. We're going to give a storage set information. We're going to give it a Buckland cell sheet. We're going to give it an OM result. And we're going to give it a Oh fuck, these things need passwords. Okay, so we have to unlock RAI doc reader. Okay, we're still recording.
I have been sitting here. I don't even know. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna get to the next few.
Tool extracting, I think. I don't know why RAI doc reader has pick reader. That part I kind of understand. But what's with the comps button on RAI doc reader? I don't understand RAI doc reader comps. I'm gonna open up a different window here to understand. Yeah. Taking a long time. Why is it so long? That's what we